out, or what at least what my cousin told me about going to club, is that when you at the club, now catch this, you at the club and you trying to, you see somebody of opposite sex and that's your type. And they across the dance floor. You're like, hey, you're like, yeah, you see it like, and now catch this, so now you in there, you're like, so now you get your stuff. You really, you getting it all together, and you see somebody, now watch this, you see them, now, okay, single people, you owe me 2 offerings before you leave, I'm about to hook you up. Now catch this, because you see somebody, here's when you know when somebody's trying to get your attention, whether they were sent from God or whether they were sent from the enemy. Here's where I'm going to show you how to hear God's voice, because now, watch this, you're trying to catch their attention, you see them, if you catch somebody and they see you, and they try to yell at you from across the room.
No.
Hey, girl, hey. Hey, so now catch this. So now they trying to yell at you across the room. You like, boy, bye. And so now you catch this because watch it, they trying to yell over all the other noise. And so you don't have a clue what they're talking about because they trying to yell on top of the noise that's already taking place. Now watch this. Game recognized game. Real players.
Right.
Come on. They gonna come close. I couldn't do this with nobody else. So now watch it. Real players gonna come close and watch it. They gonna whisper. They gonna say, hey, what your name is? What's your sign? So you gotta stand like that too. And so you can watch it because you're gonna come in, you're gonna get close and whisper. Catch this. The reason why, go ahead and give Keisha a hand. Watch this. Here's what I get you to understand. The reason why you whisper is because you got close. The reason why God shows up in a still small voice, because God has to get close. Yeah. Be careful about the enemy yelling, because catch this. Okay, the only reason why the enemy yells is because God didn't give him permission to get close to you. Right. And so the reason why he's yelling over all the other noise, be careful when the one voice in the crowd you want to hear from is the loudest voice. Then you know that no, you ain't got really nothing to say. Right. But as soon as you get close to me, that means that there's some things I need you to hear. So I got to get close to you. I got to get intimate. This is what prayer does. I got to get in your personal space because there's some things I want to share in your life that if I don't speak to you closely, you might miss it over all the other noise. Yeah. But don't just think that God only speaks in the wind and in the earthquake and the cataclysmic signs. Sometimes God needs to get close to you to whisper in your ear so that you can hear exactly what it is He needs you to understand and where He wants you to go. So now there were some whispers in your life that you ignored because you didn't think it was God. You was waiting on God to spin some things around, turn your bed upside down, make your car turn around 360 in the middle of the road. You were like, God, if it's you, God, go ahead and make my head spin around. And God was like, I don't even do none of that. Now here's what I got to give you in my last couple of minutes. I need to give this to you very quickly. We're gonna roll up out of here because catch this. Here are the voices that oftentimes cause us to miss God's voice. If you didn't write nothing else down today, here's where I'm about to help you out. Here are the voices that oftentimes cause us to miss God's voice. Number one, the opinion of others. Oh, don't get the line talking about what other people think about you don't matter. You're sitting there thinking about trying to get some stuff done, and you think about, if I make that move, oh no, they're gonna be tripping, they ain't gonna like that. No, they're gonna be hating me, they're gonna be talking about this. So now I'm already telling myself I can't do it based on how other people are gonna react to me once I begin to do it. So I've already told myself, well, no, I'm not gonna ask God for it because I'm tripping about what other people are gonna say when I get it done. So we talk about the opinion of others. Here's the next one. Voices that cause you to miss God's voice. Watch it. The values of our culture. Pastor Mike, what do you mean? I've told you this before. There are two things that impact your worldview and how you see the Bible. They are the time in which you were born and your social condition. And so now, if I'm born in the 70s, if I'm born in the 80s, if I'm born in the 90s, if I'm born in the 60s or the 50s, I have a different mindset versus somebody else who's born in a different decade and catch that it was brought up in a different manner. So if I'm born in the 80s and I'm born in the 70s and I grew up rich, I think differently than somebody who was born in the 50s and grew up poor. So my social condition, the time in which I was born, dictates how I see the Bible and how I view God. So at the same time, you have to be careful because one of the things I'm learning to discover is that as each generation comes forward, we get further and further away from God. And so now the values of our culture begin to dictate how I hear God's voice Because, okay, let's be real about it. Big Mama may not have did church right, but they were some praying folk. They ain't had no members, but there were 3 of them praying the walls down. They saved the whole community and your household because of them praying in that one little room with all the wood paneling. It ain't had no air, ain't had no AC, ain't no heat, but they was in there praying. And so now they were in there praying because there was a relationship with God. So now we've gotten to a place where we tell God, well, God, I'll ask you to show up when I really need you. As opposed to what the word says, pray about everything. Don't worry about anything. So now we deal with the values of our culture, and it's amazing. We're so busy trying to fit in that we forgot that we're supposed to be standing out. We're not called to be blended in. God says, I need you to stick out because you're one of mine. So now we talk about the values of our culture. Here's the third one. Watch this. It's hard for me to hear God based on my personal insecurities. Ooh, okay, let's get transparent. There are days when I tell myself, I'm not good enough to make what I need happen. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough money. There's some things that I'm gonna trip on. And I told you, even in your life where maybe you've fallen short of what God wanted to do or what God asked you to do. So until you have messed up, you did some things outside of God's will. So now that hinders you from even talking to God, because you're like, God, no, you don't even want to talk to me today. No, God, there's some things I did last night. Ooh, we'll talk next week. Let me clean this up first, and then I'll get back to you. And so my personal insecurities hinder me from talking to God. Watch this. Statistics say the average person has more than 60,000 thoughts per day, and 80% of those thoughts are negative. So now, and I'm thinking all these negative things, and I'm tripping about what's going on in my life. So now, our personal insecurities. Here's my next one: spiritual warfare and temptations. So now, I said I'm going to get into a series. It probably won't happen until 2017. We talk about spiritual warfare and how we handle that. Because one thing I know about the enemy is that the enemy doesn't play fair. And so because he doesn't play fair, he has no rule books that he operates by in order to try to throw you off. He'll do whatever he needs to do to get you outside of God's will. And not only that, he'll use whoever he needs to use in order to get you outside of God's will. So there's days where, okay, maybe your spouse here, so just blink at it. There's days when you're looking at your spouse, you're like, you are the devil right now. Here was a spouse that wasn't smiling. They was like, They was like, yep, that's Satan right there. They sit next to me, Jesus. So now the enemy, he'll utilize that in a certain, somebody just got in trouble. I felt that on this side of the room. I felt trouble brew up. We'll pray after service. So now we are talking about spiritual warfare and temptation. And the thing about the enemy, Satan's main job isn't even temptation. It's accusations. They call him the accuser of the brethren. So he'll accuse you of doing some things that hadn't even been done yet. And so he presents you before God. And so now I gotta fight this battle with the enemy that told me some things about myself. And here's the last one, because now one of the things that causes us to miss God's voice is our own competing desires. In other words, there's some things I'm thinking that I want for my life that don't line up with God's will. And so now I'm tripping because you really, really, really want it. But God's like, no, that's not what I want for you. Watch this. James 4:3 says, and even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure. Oh, okay, don't act brand new and don't act like you ain't never prayed about some stuff that you know God ain't want you to have. And you was like, God, just go ahead and send him to me, God. God, I know he got a wife, because I know he got 9 kids all over the city, but God, he's just so sexy, God. Just go ahead and send him anyway. And God is like, no, y'all both going to hell. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to send y'all early. Because God said, that's not even my will for you, but yet still, because that's your own personal desires. Okay, I wish I had some real people. You'll do stuff, and you'll tell yourself stuff to justify why you're asking it. And while you're asking it, you'll make it sound good into your own self, your own personal and competing desires. So even though it doesn't line up with God's will, you've shaped it in such a form, in such a fashion, that it sounds good to you. Yeah. And so because it sounds good to you, that's the only thing you needed to move forward on it. Okay, I know I'm not the only trifling person in it. And so now you can tell yourself, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and eat this cookie tonight, because if I don't, it's going to be hard in the morning. And so nobody's going to want a hard cookie. You're going to have to throw it in the trash. And so I might as well go ahead and eat it now while it's fresh. I'm going to go ahead and save everybody else the trouble. I think this is a good idea for me to eat this cookie at midnight. I just know it is. I'm not going to worry about the pounds. Jesus will take them away later on. And so now I done already formed it in my mind on why it needs to be done. I done told myself what the plan is, even though I just prayed to God, I need to drop these pounds because God, I'm getting tired, I'm just sluggish. So God, I need you to help me lose this weight. And God's like, all right, well, which one you gonna choose? And so I got all these different things taking place. And here's the last point I have to give you. We gotta hurry up and leave. So now, Jesus, when teaching on prayer, and so now, let me give this to you because I'm tripping because I forgot. I didn't even give y'all the title of my message. I told y'all every message for this series, we're using acronyms based on shorthand texting. And so I told you that as we kind of do this, we're taking what already exists and changing it to something else. So I said today's message is going to be called L.O.W. What does L.O.W. stand for? L.O.W. today stands for living off lies.
Come on.
Because I got to be careful that when the enemy's speaking into my life, that I'm not living off lies that he's been telling me. Some of us have been existing for such a long time that he's been speaking in our ear that I'm living off of some stuff that God never desired for me to have. I got to get back to getting close to God to be able to speak to him. That's why, how do I get back to that place? I'm glad you asked because Jesus would frequently withdraw himself from society. Everywhere in the text you'll see where Jesus took time off to go pray. He said, hey, I'm getting this. Y'all go ahead and go forward. I'm going to get this boat. I got to go pray. He was taking time off to go pray because watch it, he had to be refreshed in the presence of God. Okay, yeah, I got to get this in a second. So now prayer helps you to be refreshed and to refresh things around you. If you utilize the internet, you read the news on the internet, you know how important it is for you to refresh the page. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead and throw my screen, my next one up there, because that symbol right there is going to help save your life. Because anytime you're on the internet, if you're reading some stuff on there, one of the things that you have to do, if time elapses, time goes forward, and hours go forward in time. And so now, if I don't hit that refresh button, the same news that was there 3 hours ago will still be the same news I'm looking at that moment. So I refresh the button to get an update on my news feed. In my life, I got to understand there's some things in my life that have been there for a long period of time. God, the enemy's been speaking in my life and telling me all kinds of negative stuff. I'm hearing all these other voices coming back and forth in my life that are not being beneficial to where I need to be at. God said, I need you to get back in prayer and refresh yourself. He said, I need you to hit your refresh button so I can update you with some new information about what you need to know in this current time. Some of you have been living off lies from 10 years ago. Living off lies that happened 3 years ago, 6 months ago. God said, I need you to hit your refresh button and remember who I called you to be. The things I've placed in your life. So prayer takes you back to the place of refreshing. In fact, let's be truthful about it. There's some times where you were tripping about some stuff. It was when you went into prayer that you stopped tripping so much. Because your prayer time became the refreshing moment that you needed for your situation. You want to know how you get over some stuff? Start praying about it. And watch this. Here's how God is so good. God may not even change anything about your situation. God said, I simply wanted you to get closer to me because what you really needed was for me to change you. And so now while God's changing you, God said, I'm going to let you figure out how to get the other stuff done. But let me fix you first. Let me get my voice clear in your life. So now I just need you to hit the refresh button. In fact, I need you to go home on your internet next time you look at it. Just go ahead and hit the refresh because there's some stuff on there from last night that probably don't need to be on there this morning. I need to refresh some stuff in order to hear God's voice and where he wants me to go at. And the only way I can do that is if I get my focus and my concentration back on task. Amen? Go ahead.